Most castles of Westeros have been named after its location, after its founder, and even after a successful allegiance, although there are few castles which name origins are explained by legend. The most popular castles named after its founder are Casterly Rock and Harrenhal. Harrenhal, a huge castle, the largest one in all of Westeros, occupying 3 times as much land area as Winterfell, although it's the most ill-omened, is named after its founder. The castle was built over 300 years ago by House Hoare, the ruling house of the Iron Islands which had overrun and conquered the Riverlands. It took 3 generations to construct. King Harren the Black completed the castle and he arrogantly named it Harrenhal after himself. On the very same day the last brick was laid, however, Aegon Targaryen and his sisters landed with their army from Dragonstone at the mouth of the Blackwater River, along with their 3 dragons, beginning the War of Conquest. Harren thought the walls of his massive castle could withstand any assault, but he did not realize that dragons could simply fly over them. In the burning of Harrenhal, Aegon used his dragon Balerion to roast King Harren and all of his sons alive within their own tower. Harrenhal was blasted with dragonfire and left half ruined. The name of the ancestral stronghold of House Lannister, Casterly Rock, is also coming from its founder, Casterly, but also from its rock formation, Rock, making it Casterly Rock. The rock was measured at 3 times the height of the wall or the high tower of Old Town, and although I was not too happy with its appearance that we got to finally see in Season 7, I'm still glad that we saw it at least. Casterly Rock is named for the family that ruled it in Age of Heroes, the Casterlys who no longer exist. The Lannisters traced their rule over it back to Land the Clever, who tricked the Casterlys out of their castle and claimed it for his own. Now let's take a look on the castles that took the name either of its location or because of its location. Riverrun, the ancestral house of House Tully, is situated in the western Riverlands, at the confluence of the Tumblestone and Red Fork rivers. Riverrun is a strong 3-sided castle, although not especially large. The castle is bordered on the north by the Tumblestone River, and on the south by the Red Fork River, while on the west a third side faces a massive man-made ditch. It's easy to see why name Riverrun for this castle. Another castle named due to its location is Dragonstone. The ancestral seat of House Targaryen was literally named after its location. Dragonstone is a castle located on the island of the same name at the entrance of the Blackwater Bay. Located below Dragonmont and shaped from stone to look like dragons, Dragonstone was the original seat of House Targaryen in Westeros, and had been colonized and fortified at the westernmost outpost of the Valyrian Freehold. The castle was built by the Targaryens some 500 years ago, and they settled island Dragonstone as a trading outpost of the Great Valyrian Freehold. The island Dragonstone has a small port and a large castle on it that took the name after the island it's located on, Dragonstone Islands. Castle Pike is an ancient stronghold and the cliff it was built on has been eroded by sea, leaving the tower standing on stone stacks. Pike is so old that its original builders and lords are unknown. According to maesters, people living on the island Pike say it was always called Pike and the castle is named after the island. So the stronghold of House Greyjoy, just like the stronghold of House Targaryen, is named after the island it's located on, although the Greyjoys themselves claim that it's the other way around. The next 2 castles need little to no explanation. The Twins known as the Crossing is the seat of House Frey in the northern Riverlands. It consists of 2 near-identical towers and a fortified bridge over the Green Fork of the River Trident. The Freys have held the crossing of the Green Fork for 600 years, beginning when a petty lord built a rickety wooden bridge over the narrowest portion of the river. It took the family 3 generations to complete the bridge in stone, after which they built timber keeps on each bank of the river. Since then, the Freys have grown wealthy by charging a heavy toll on all those who needed to cross. The timber keeps have since been replaced by stone. These castles are what gives the stronghold its name, the Twins, for they are identical. We also have castles across the Westeros that was named after successful allegiances, such as the stronghold of House Martell Sunspear. In the events of Game of Thrones, we know the Martells as the ruling princes of Dorne and lords of Sunspear, with their house being the ruling house of Dorne, but they were not always that powerful. Throughout the history, House Martell was not always one of the great houses of the 7 kingdoms. There were times when the Martells were just minor Dornish lords. The Sandship, which is now part of Sunspear, used to be an ancient keep of House Martell, minor Dornish lords. This changed when Rhoynish warrior Queen Nymeria arrived in Dorne with her 10,000 ships around 700 AC. Lord Mors Martell, the lord of the Sandship, wed her, and this alliance of the Martells with the Rhoynar led to the unification of Dorne in Nymeria's war. To symbolize their union, the original Golden Spear sigil of Mors Martell was combined with the Red Sun sigil of Nymeria, creating the Red Sun pierced by a Golden Spear sigil that House Martell has used as a sigil ever since. It's not the only thing that symbolizes their union. The seat of the ruling princes and princesses of Dorne became Sunspear, the new castle which developed around the Sandship. Sunspear was named after the union of the Martell spear with the son of the Rhoynar. Then we also have castles which name origins are legends, such as the origin of Storm's End, the ancestral seat of House Baratheon, a formidable fortress located on the southeastern coast of Westeros overlooking Shipbreaker Bay. One of the strongest castles in the realm, Storm's End, was once the ancestral seat of Storm Kings of House Durrandon, extending back many thousands of years. Legend claims that it was built by Doran Godsgrieve, the first Storm King during the Dawn Age, who declared a war against the sea god and the goddess of the wind after they killed his family and guests, ruining his wedding to their daughter. It was said that Doran raised 6 castles, each larger and more formidable than the last, but all were destroyed by storms. The massive 7th castle was named Storm's End because it was able to endure the storms. Some believe this was because the Children of the Forest took the hand in its construction, using their magic in raising the castle walls which allows it to resist the storms. Others believe that the young boy who grew up to be Bran the Builder advised Doran on its construction. Storm's End became the seat of the rulers of the Stormlands, the Storm Kings for millennia until the Targaryens came. When Aegon the Conqueror invaded Westeros, he sent his commander and rumored half-brother Orys Baratheon to take Storm's End. The last of the Storm Kings led the safety of his stronghold and met Baratheon in open battle. He was defeated, and Orys Baratheon took the last Storm Kings from House Durrandon domains, Sigil, Moro, and Daughter, becoming the founder of House Baratheon. Storm's End is said to be protected by spells woven into its very walls, that prevent magic from penetrating its defenses or passing through it, which is why I'm looking for its appearance in the final season, and it might even be the best castle for the living to face the Night King from. We also have some castle names such as Eyrie or Winterfell whose name origins meanings are not officially known, as it was not named after its founder or its location or some successful allegiance. But if you read all the history of Westeros, all the events that occurred there, you could come to the origin of it, which is the case for Winterfell, about which I'm going to talk in a minute. To understand the origin of the name of an ancient castle and seat of House Sarene, Eyrie, you need to take a look on the Middle Ages dictionary. Eyrie is a word that means a large nest of an eagle or other bird of prey, built high in a tree or in a cliff. Eyrie also means a high or inaccessible place from which someone can observe what's below them. Let me remind you that this term is from the Middle Ages, and it fits the historical era Martin was trying to evoke. Since House Sarene's sigil is a falcon, this means that their stronghold, the Eyrie, which is situated in the mountains of the moon astride a peak known as the Giant's Lance, several thousand feet above the valley below, is essentially their nest. Let's recap the castle names we have thus far. We have castles named after its founders such as Casterly Rock and Harrenhal. We have castles that took the name either of its location or because of its location such as Dragonstone, Riverrun, Pike and the Twins. Castles have also been named after successful allegiances such as the stronghold of House Martell Sunspear. We have castles which name origins are not officially known, but can be explained with a bit of research, such as the origin of the name Eyrie. We also have castle names which origins are legends, such as the one of Storm's End. Most name origins of the popular castles have been officially explained, but not Winterfell. Winterfell is not named after its founder or its location or some successful allegiance. There's not even a legend explaining why name Winterfell for House Stark's stronghold, but there's a theory, and in that theory Winterfell is just like Starfall, built and named after the major event that happened on that very same place. Starfall is a castle in Dorne in the ancestral seat of House Dayne. According to legend, Starfall was built where the first Dayne found a magic stone after he followed the path of a shooting star. Starfall is so called because a meteor, referred to as a fallen star, which fell out of the sky nearby almost 2000 years ago. The Danes forged the sword out of the meteorite ore called Dawn. Long story short, Starfall is a castle raised and named after a star that fell at that place. It's basically named after the major event that happened there, and I believe it's the similar case with the Winterfell as well. Star might not have fallen where Winterfell stands, but winter might have, thus the name Winterfell. 8,000 years before the Targaryen conquest, a winter known as the Long Night descended upon the world and lasted an entire generation. In the midst of this darkness, the White Walkers emerged from an uttermost north of Westeros, the polar regions of the lands of always winter. They wielded razor-thin swords of ice and raised whites to fight the living. The Children of the Forest and their allies the First Men fought valiantly against them, but were driven southwards by their advance. Eventually, the First Men and the Children of the Forest formed an alliance and rallied to defend themselves. In a struggle known as the War for the Dawn, the White Walkers were defeated and driven back into the uttermost north. Steps were taken to ensure that the people would never be caught off guard by an invasion from the north again. Bran the Builder raised the wall, an imposing structure of solid ice and magic, stretching 100 leagues from the west to east, cutting off the lands of always winter from the remainder of Westeros. The wall, a massive fortification standing 700 feet tall and stretching from one side of the continent to the other, was constructed along the northernmost isthmus of northern Westeros to bar the Walkers' return. Although it failed the task, it had its purpose, meaning and symbolism. We know that Bran the Builder built both the wall and Winterfell after the Long Night passed, and so it's impossible that just Bran built the wall to protect the realm from the future advance of the Night King. He also built the castle where winter fell, and so if the Long Night is to come again, the living would know where to face it, at a place where winter fell before.